There is so much Tesla news today. I had to basically suspend my research for now so that I could get this out to you during daylight hours. The lithium refinery that's going on down there, setting up that lithium refinery down in Texas. How much do you think that might be worth per share of Tesla stock to be able to make that the lithium down in Texas? That and more at the end of the episode today. This is Randy Kirk. On Saturday, I try to bring you the news because nobody else is bringing you the news on Saturday. And so that's what I'm doing. If you like that idea, hit the like button. You may have missed my conversation with Larry earlier today. Larry Goldberg and I talked about what Kathy Wood talked about last night. You don't want to miss that. That was a very, very good meeting with Larry. I was actually impressed by how good it went. So maybe you should watch it. I don't know. Anyway, and then later on today, I'm going to do a question and answer series. The questions that you've asked in your comments over the last week or so. That's what I'm going to do here in about 4 hours. And so hit notify and subscribe if you want to be notified of that upcoming deal. Hit Patreon. I am now I'll probably add 3 or 4 pieces per week that will be unique to Patreon. Hopefully they're useful. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, let's get into it. While Tesla drops their prices on the M3 again, that's what happened. Yeah, just yesterday, they dropped the M3 price again. My guess and everybody's guess is that this is in order to clear out inventory. This drops the price kind of strategically to where if you have the $7,500 incentive in there, it's $29,950 or thereabouts. So that starting price is a great, strategic starting price. Everybody would agree to that, and it's makes it cheaper than so many cars that are out there. And in some states, that means you're going to be paying, in the low 20,000s. Well, I don't care what the interest rates are. If you can get a Tesla Model 3 for that price, it is a good deal. Now, on the one hand, that's to clear out inventory, but I'm not the first one to raise this idea, but let me be one of the first to raise the idea that this might be where the new Highland is going to come out anyway. We know that the part of the Highland deal is to make it look cuter and more fun or more updated or whatever, to add some interior touches that might make it more modern. We need to update from time to time. It's been 7 years, so we know that that's part of the Highland deal, and everybody's concentrating on that part. But anybody that's paying attention to the stock needs to know that the big deal for Tesla is that they're an incredible manufacturer, always looking for ways to cut costs so that they can then offer their products at better prices. Well, I think that this might be a little bit of Tesla playing around with the ultimate price for what the Model 3 Highland will be when it comes out. Yes, for the first 3 to 6 months, you probably won't be able to buy the version that's at that price. They'll be they'll be able to only make enough to cover the higher priced models, but eventually it's going to settle down to where these lower priced models will be coming along. That might be the beginning of next year, and this might be really significant in terms of trying to move through maximum numbers of products at very good margins. So anyway, we'll see. Be interesting to see what happens on that. According to Joe Tagmeyer, Austin has resumed production. And then he says that he thinks they might have split the production lines into 4680 over here and 2680 over. So you have 2 different production lines depending on the battery. So that may be true, and that would be interesting. Maybe we'll find out more about that on earnings day. The Electric Viking thinks that the M3 Highland will start production in about 14 days in Shanghai. He says that's based on the fact of that they've stopped all drone flyovers, and he thinks the shakedown in terms of the getting the line ready is well along and almost finished. So he thinks production will actually begin within 14 days. I think that's an interesting take. I'm not always the first guy to take everything that I like Electric Viking, but I think he's always a little hyperbolic about every single thing, every single rumor, every single person that comes out with a new battery or stuff. He's like, "Oh, it's another breakthrough." Well, they're not all breakthroughs, trust me. Okay, so Mercedes has joined the NACS standard and the NACS standard, the North American Charging Standard, which is Tesla's method of charging. Mercedes, it's kind of with GM and Ford and Volvo, et cetera, at this point, it's kind of a done deal. So, but it was good to see Mercedes joining that group. Big incentives are being rolled out by Tesla worldwide. And I love this idea. I like the idea of offering these incentives for the person to purchase the car, as well as for we owners to be incentivized to close the deal with our neighbors. It's one thing to take them for a ride. It's another thing to know that maybe you're going to get $500 or $1,000 based on the fact that the person actually goes out and makes a decision. Everybody makes a little extra. It's worked great for Tesla in the past. I think it makes people feel like they have more ownership in the brand. I think it increases staying power. There's so many marketing advantages to this. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Mizuho, which is another Wall Street firm, raised their price target to 300, like Bank of America did the day before. They were at 230. They raised it to 300, and they said they've raised their EPS coming up here at the earnings call. They've raised it to 86 from 83, and I still think they're a dime low. I'm going to come in at 96. That's where I think we're going to end up after a tremendous amount of study. The governor of Nuevo León down in Mexico said that all the permits are moving along and that any moment the first stone will be laid. That's a quote. I want to see the earth moving equipment on the site. I want to see the backhoes starting to backhoe. And then, 9 months from that date, or a little longer, maybe a year, you'll get your first outs. So with the governor of Nuevo León coming out and saying this, maybe we're getting close to the startup date of the actual moving some earth. And so maybe we could still see some Gen 3 vehicles coming off the line in midsummer next year. That would be way ahead of expectations at this particular time. Okay, here's a new one. So we saw the other day that Tesla bots, some Optimus bots, were going to be shown in Chinese showrooms in order to get people to come in. And you may have seen some pictures online of a lot of people with their cameras out taking pictures of the bot. Well, now they've moved it up to New York as well. So the New York showroom now has an Optimus robot in it. I suspect that they'll start doing that in a lot of the showrooms. So we'll be seeing maybe hundreds of bots. Now, whether these are fully functional or not, there's no telling. As of now, they don't talk or walk or do useful things, but maybe they are fully functioning, and at some point, maybe they'll do useful things. That would be really amazing. Okay, somebody asked, how hard is it to start manufacturing a million Optimi? Because I think they'll make 1 million Optimi next year. Now, maybe the run rate will be 1 million, and they only make 500,000 or 250,000 next year. But I decided, at a very minimum, what I should do for y'all is to figure out what does it take in terms of the plant size in order to do this. So I figured that an Optimus robot is about 5 cubic feet. And if you break that down and put it in boxes, and it's not going to nest as well, whatever. So you're going to get about 50,000 finished units in 250,000 cubic feet. A pallet is about 25 cubic feet. So that would be 10,000 pallets. And if you put those on 4-level pallet racks, you would need 2,500 of those. If those are 5 feet per pallet rack width, that means 500 feet of pallet racks. Anyway, when I got all done and said, I think you can get the line, you can get all the pallets with all the parts, everything done in about 200,000 square feet. That's a pretty small building to be building 1 million robots. Anyway, if you'd like to see my math, I might put that up on Patreon. Maybe I'll put the details of that math up on Patreon. I haven't decided that for sure, but I might do that. Okay. Guess what? The Chinese deal that was made just 2 days ago on putting a floor on pricing has been scuttled because that's an illegal restraint of trade, even in China. This is, you can't make this stuff up. So, we're talking about how could you get away with that? You couldn't get away with that in the United States. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Even though the Chinese transportation or manufacturing department, I can't remember who it was. They were the ones that came to the association and said, you guys need to quit beating each other up on price. We need to stop this stuff. We need Chinese companies that are successful. And then they said, okay, we'll do this. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, they're like, oh, this violates Chinese law on restraint trade. Well, that's interesting. Okay, Tesla is now in a trading range of between 260 and 285. It's a very narrow range for Tesla. As you know, I think the trading range is really 305, but we haven't passed 286 yet. So we don't have a trading range until you've actually gone past it. But I believe that is going to be a trading range between now and the earnings date on the 19th. So 260 to 305. History shows that there's a price run up before earnings. So I think we'll see a few attempts to get to 305. That's all going to depend on news and the macro, because next week is, it's CPI week. So who knows what's going to happen next week. But only some serious Tesla news or an amazing macro result, like the CPI coming in at 0.25 or something. Only something like that would cause the market to go, the Tesla stock to go over 305. I don't see that happening before the meeting. I also expect that almost no matter what happens in terms of the earnings and even in terms of what kind of advice we're given in terms of the future during that earnings meeting, I don't think that we're going to go over 305 for about a week. After the meetings, we tend to see a little sell-off, a little bit of consolidation, and then people finally say, oh, you know what? Okay. And then they start picking. So sometime by the end of the month, I think you'll start potentially breaking through the 305 level. Now, anytime that we have a real groundbreaking, not just the governor saying, hey, it's coming soon, we have a real groundbreaking. And of course, eventually any kind of news, if we have the news at the meeting of the date of the handover of the Cybertruck, yeah, that's going to cause things to go a little, even the day after, I think we'll see some movement. At Heart Doc Tesla. So that's all of that. You have to, at Heart Doc Tesla, he reports that he just realized that Tesla has formed a technical pattern. Never heard of this one before. A 3 weeks tight from closes of 260, 256, and 261 on June 12th, 20th, and 26th, respectively. Closing within 26%, this pattern follows a recent run-up from a prior breakout at 207. That's the new base. Breaking over 277 could lead to another 20% extension run to 325. Well, we've already broken over 277, so I'm not sure exactly all of what this means, but it looks like this, according to this thing I've never heard of, hey, could be right. 325, but I think 325 is going to happen anyway, at the very latest at the handover of the Cybertruck, or maybe with the announcement of actual dirt being turned down in Mexico. And there's other catalysts that could do it. So I cannot stress enough that the macro is at least 60% of Tesla at any given moment. Can I say that again? Tesla is not just about its own fundamentals. Tesla is not about things like these technical analysts say only. Yes, it counts in. So many things matter. The options market in Tesla's case matters. All these things matter. But the macro is at least 60% of the price point at any time with regard to Tesla. When Tesla was all-time highs, we had a huge risk-on environment. We had people jumping into anything they could find. Were willing to pay $100 billion for Rivian. I mean, it was risk on, and that was part of why we hit that all-time high. When we went down to 100, it wasn't because Tesla's fundamentals changed. They didn't. A couple of misses in the market? No, I'm sorry. Elon Musk selling shares? No, I'm sorry. What happened was there was a collapse of the overall macro for the market, and that took Tesla, and it took all of Cathie Wood's, and it took every stock that had any kind of risk associated with it, and it took everybody else with it. Everything was down. So I had this meeting with Larry Goldberg just a little while ago. You want to watch that show. It's an hour you will not regret. I promise you, you won't. So the card is above. Take a look at what Larry and I just discussed. We were, of course, talking about Kathy Woods. Now, maybe you're a big fan of Kathy Woods and you already watched her show on Friday or even this morning. But what we do is analyze what she said and add on our own analysis. On top of that, again, I think you'll like it. The Limiting Factor also put out a video today that basically asserts that Tesla will not have any issues getting the lithium it needs for the next 3 to 5 years, and that the value of the lithium refining that they're going to do down there will be worth hundreds of dollars per share. I'm not going to take away his breaking news. You watch the video to find out exactly how much he says it is going to be worth per share. I will tell you, it's over $100 per share. Watch that insightful video. Card is above, and I'll put the information, of course, down in the description. So if this show is of any value to you, just hit like and hit subscribe and hit notify. I'm going to do that Q&A later today where I'm going to take the comments that you all have made over the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to respond to those comments. And Sunday, I've got several ideas for Sunday. I'm going to surprise you on Sunday. And then hopefully on Sunday, I'm also going to put up one more unique item on Patreon. I have 2 now. That will make number 3, plus, of course, all my charts, all my expectations with regard to the way earnings are going to play out. Those are all up there as well. So as usual, I have enjoyed my time with you. It's been great talking to you.